The expedition had been cataloging dead worlds for 3 months, and Darren Core was bored out of his mind. Kalos 9 was supposed to be another routine survey. Atmospheric readings, mineral composition, biodiversity assessment. The planet was a graveyard of stone and silence, its surface carved with ruins so ancient that even the most advanced dating equipment returned error codes. The structures predated every known civilization in the galactic database, and that alone should have made Darren more cautious. But caution had never been humanity's strong suit. "Hey, Martinez," Darren called over the comm, his boots crunching on crystalline dust that might have once been glass. "Found another one of those men doors. This one's got the fancy symbols." "Don't touch it," came the weary reply from the shuttle. "Last time you found something, we spent 6 hours decontaminating you." Darren grinned beneath his helmet. The door, or gate, or whatever it was, rose 30 meters high, seamless obsidian that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Symbols spiraled across its surface in patterns that hurt to look at directly, geometric impossibilities that suggested mathematics humanity hadn't discovered yet. At the center, at exactly Darren's eye level, was a single handprint. It was unmistakably a hand. 5 fingers, a palm, proportions that matched his own gloved appendage almost perfectly. The universal constant of bilateral symmetry, he supposed. Or maybe something more unsettling. Convergent evolution across the cosmos, different species arriving at the same biological solution. The handprint's human-sized, Darren observed, leaning closer. "What are the odds?" "Astronomical," Martinez replied. "Which means you should definitely not touch it." Darren had already removed his glove. Later he would claim he'd slipped, that the low gravity had betrayed him, that he'd reached out to catch himself. But in that moment, with alien dust swirling around his ankles and 3 months of tedium weighing on his shoulders, Darren Core did what humans had been doing since they first discovered fire could burn. He touched it anyway. His palm met the handprint perfectly. The gate responded instantly. Light erupted from every symbol, cascading outward in waves of colors that didn't exist in standard spectrums. The ground trembled. The air itself seemed to fold, reality creasing like paper around the impossible geometry of the door. And somewhere deep within the stone, something opened its eyes. Darren tried to pull away, but his hand was fused to the surface, palm tingling with a sensation that transcended touch. It was being read, every neuron mapped, every memory indexed, every dream cataloged in microseconds. He felt something vast pressing against his consciousness, an intelligence so ancient that human civilization was nothing more than a spark in its peripheral vision. Then the voice came, not through sound but through direct neural insertion, resonating in the spaces between his thoughts. Human. The word carried weight that made Darren's knees buckle. It wasn't a greeting. It was a classification, a recognition, a judgment. The gate began to open. It didn't swing or slide, it unfolded, layers of reality peeling back to reveal a darkness that was somehow luminous, a void that pulsed with nascent existence. And standing in that threshold, materializing from shadow and starlight, was Valeth. The Primordial Sentinel was not humanoid, though it wore the suggestion of a form. It was constructed from crystallized time, its body a lattice of frozen moments. Galaxies born and dying within its chest, civilizations rising and falling across its limbs. Eyes that were singularities, event horizons that swallowed light and meaning both, fixed upon Darren with the intensity of a collapsing universe. "You should not have been able to touch the seal," Valeth said, voice like tectonic plates conversing. "The seal was keyed to the predecessors, to those who built the gates, to those who transcended." Darren's hand finally came free and he stumbled backward, gasping. I didn't mean to." "Yet you did." Valeth stepped forward and space warped around it, the planet's geometry rewriting itself to accommodate something too vast for 3 dimensions. "I have waited 4 billion revolutions of this world, 4 billion cycles of star death and rebirth, waiting for one of the predecessors to return and release me from my vigil." The Sentinel leaned down, and Darren saw his reflection in those impossible eyes, saw himself as Valeth saw him, a creature of meat and electricity and stubborn defiance, carrying in his DNA the echoes of 1 billion years of evolution, of surviving ice ages and plagues and predators, of looking at the stars and deciding to reach them. "You are not a predecessor," Valeth said slowly. "You are something new." "Humans," Darren managed, finding his voice. We're called humans, and we're explorers. We touch things. It's kind of our whole deal. For a long moment, Valeth was silent. Then something that might have been laughter rippled through the air. A sound like quasars harmonizing. The predecessors were cautious, careful. They calculated every risk, planned every move across millennia. They became so afraid of making mistakes that they stopped making choices at all. They transcended not in glory but in paralysis. Valeth's form shifted, consolidating into something almost comprehensible. But you touch the sealed gate as a joke. You reach into the unknown simply because it is there. You do not wait for permission from the universe, you take it. The sentinel straightened and the gate behind it began to pulse with renewed energy. Across the planet's surface, 1,000 identical gates flared to life, a network dormant since before Earth's continents had formed. The predecessors left me here to guard the gates until worthy successors arrived, Valeth declared. I have found them, and they are gloriously, magnificently foolish. Darren felt his communicator exploding with panicked voices from the shuttle, but he couldn't look away from those singularity eyes. What happens now? He asked. Valeth gestured, and the void beyond the gate shimmered, revealing pathways between stars, shortcuts through reality itself, a highway system spanning the galaxy. Now human, you touch everything else. And despite the terror, despite the implications, despite every survival instinct screaming at him to run, Darren Core smiled, because that was exactly what humanity did best.